often sit here, alone, thinking, I wasn't supposed to be there. I'm not supposed to be here, but it's so quiet and peaceful and... Anyway, I had been sat here when I heard them come. The group of men. I dived to hide myself behind some trees, watching them, but hoping and praying that they wouldn't find me. There was 4 of them walking over, and I realized that I recognized one of them. It was Jesus. That man, Jesus, who was healing people and raising them from the dead, and miracle worker. And I was looking right at him. They sat together, and he bowed his head in his hands. He looked worried, frightened even, but I mean, what can scare the miracle worker? What could possibly bother him? I mean, he can do anything that he wanted to do. People had seen him angry, and they'd seen him sad, but this was different. I stepped closer to listen. My soul is overwhelmed with sorrow to the point of death. The leaves rustled before me, and the branches snapped beneath my feet. Stay here and keep watch with me. I froze as the miracle worker turned and started towards me. Had he heard me? Did he know I was here? I held my breath. And as he neared me, he stopped, dropped to his knees and prayed, earnestly, looking up to the sky. I couldn't quite make out what he was saying, but his face was contorted, creased with feeling. I wanted to reach out to him. I wanted to hold him, to tell him it would be all right. Whatever it was, it would be okay because he's the miracle worker. And God was on his side. He dropped lower to the ground, pressed his face to the ground. His voice grew louder and he cried out, "My Father, if it is possible, may this cup be taken away from me." His voice was raw and pained, but strong. He wanted to be heard. My heart broke. What was it that he was being asked to do? What was it that he was begging God to take away from him? Yet not as I will, but as you will. He spoke those words just as earnestly, just as honestly. He meant it. This thing that broke him, that frightened him so, he was willing to accept. He would take it. He would put aside his feelings, his hurt, for God's will. He stayed there some time longer, and I watched, in awe of this man that I couldn't understand. I started as he stood to his feet and headed back to his friends. He made no effort to hide his vulnerability. The fear and the feeling was still written all across his face. They slept, stirring as he came closer. Couldn't you men keep watch for 1 hour? He was hurt, disappointed at the failure of his friends. I wanted to cry out to him, "I have kept watch with you." But I stayed still and silent. The man stumbled to say something in defense. "Watch and pray, so that you will not fall into temptation. The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak." He did not speak these words with bitterness. He wasn't harsh. The note of love was still detectable above it all. He returned once more and came again closer to me, pressed his face to the ground as he had done before. "My Father, if it is not possible for this cup to be taken away unless I drink it, may your will be done." He stayed there for some time and then rose to join his friends. They slept, still and undisturbed by the turmoil of their friend. He sighed and returned to his place of prayer. He cried out to God, "My Father, if it is not possible for this cup to be taken away unless I drink it, may your will be done." His voice was strong and determined. He did not falter. He stayed there for some time longer and then returned to his friends for the final time. Are you still sleeping and resting? The hour has come, and the Son of Man will be delivered into the hands of sinners. Rise, let us go. Here comes my betrayer. Then I understood. It was time for him to drink.